Welcome to Wellness Tea Time with Dr. Rita, your go-to destination for enriching conversations about mental health. Join me as I host diverse guests to discuss mental health and empower each other on this journey to safeguard our well-being. Young man, like probably about your age, he was a sports, he was a professional soccer player. Professional soccer player, went home because they tend to give them time out to go home and do what they call it, like time out from the off-season period. So he was in a club that is in Durban area, in the south. Then he came home, Pretoria, and he was there. No, he woke up to go for a run. And discovered he's not seeing. Just like that. He woke up at 5 a.m. to go for a jog. Then he saw that he's not seeing. He screamed. His parents came and they basically took him to the hospital and just like that. They operated, tried to save the eyes. Usually they do one at a time. They operated the one. They couldn't save it. They did the second one after 6 months. They managed to save a teeny little bit of light. Like he can see some images, but he's blind. So he lost his career, he lost everything. But in that journey of dealing with that, believe it or not, surgeries, what, there was no psychologist or anyone to talk to him about his mental health. But now, now you've lost your sight. And you've lost your livelihood. You're a sportsman, soccer player. Now you can't play. But no one talks to you about this. So you're sitting there in darkness, and your mind is running. Katingenda kolachi. What next? And those are the kinds of situations that, as I engaged in these conversations, brought them to light, and then I invited, of course, the doctors, the surgeons to have conversations with me as well on those issues. You can imagine dealing with loss. Now, this is, when we talk about grief, it's not just about losing somebody, like in Firidwa, but losing an opportunity, losing a part of you, like your sight in this case. Dealing with that takes a lot, and you have to actually support people and help people to recalibrate and figure out what they can achieve and who they can be, even without the whole part of them that they thought they needed to be. And sometimes people discover their purpose in seasons of loss as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Reminds me of my work for Henry and Eric, right? Enoch. So I work with people with disabilities generally, with a little focus on albinism. So there was this little girl, and for me I was amazed as she spoke. I think she was primary 5, there is around 10, 11, around there. So she's in this school, and she had been there for 4 years, right? P5 with the Ugandan curriculum and all that. So the parents are like, the pressure, kids have to go to school so early, like 6 a.m. and what, you have to be in class. So people wake up. Being a child with albinism, they're like, you know what? Truth be told, those scares of ritual, kidnap, are there. So they want to take this girl to a boarding school. The mom goes and says, hey, can I get the forms to, to fill? The teacher is hesitant. It's like, you see, you understand. Like, he's not giving a clear response. Common sense is like, but so why isn't this guy giving me the forms? So I had been with this family, working with them, like you have a child, you have a brother, you have a sister with albino, you identify. So she calls me and it's like, Olive, have you ever been in a boarding school? I said, yeah. And for sure, I was in a boarding school for all my secondary. She's like, I think I'm facing a problem. I'm really giving you like the big story, but I'll cut a bit. So, move forward. I go to school with this lady. I'm like, maybe they haven't understood. And because albinism is really misunderstood, so I always take the opportunity to, can we go and tell them who we really are? We're not bad people. We are also humans. Like those basic things. I love civil ways of educating people. So we go to this school. The teacher is now like a standoff and says, no, we can't manage that student. This is a private school. We choose who to let in. And I'm like, dude, this is not like a new student. You understand? This is a child you've been with. So really. And later on, the guy says, give us time. He's hard, saying we need to build like a separate room for that child. Wow. She can't sleep with the rest.
Can you believe that?
They'll get scared.
I was like really shocked when I heard this story.
So, but then I'll move fast forward. I'm really pissed, blah, 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 blah. So I even went to authorities and said, no, this is outright discrimination. But for me, when I look at this whole thing about the mental health, the child had to leave school because there was a lot of pulling of ropes and all that, and kids who love school, not even love school, but are proud of their schools. So she was so proud. She sees their bus. It's like hey, And the sister was in a smaller school, and they would even say, hey, for you in that other school, for us we are here. She would look at their bus and hide. Wow. Schools make calendars and they put in blah, blah. She's like, Mom, you remove that. I mean, we're dealing with all these things being accepted in school, but little did we know that she is really psychologically affected. So until the mother said some of these things, working with different people, I remember we took her to Nakasero Hospital to, you call them what?
The psychologist.
Thank you. The psychologist. So they had their session and they know the questions they ask and got a lot of information from the girl. She was mentally damaged, if I can use that word. So when you talk about mental health, it's not so much for the 20-year-olds and above. So for me, even at that level, I was like, okay, this is a 10-year-old. And how do we really even realize, okay, the report comes out and the guy says things that now the mother can relate to. And then she was really affected. She moves to secondary school. So now we feel, hey, she's healed. But actually the doctor told us it may take her maybe like 2-3 years to heal. It's like, okay, I would imagine when you finish school, P7, the things are gone, you're now adolescent and what. So we go back to her and we really ask the mom if you can do an interview and this. So now she's in this one. So we are talking about it. And it's those things that, have you healed? We get your permission. And she's okay. They asked her one question and she broke down. Don't let it was an offensive question. And we always do like, okay. And the question was, what do you want to be in life? Or something like that. We don't know the memories it brought. But then I'm like, okay, this thing called mental health is deep.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like here in our country, people don't focus on it so much. But we have heard of stories like in the US where you have friends and like, I'm going for psychology.
Psychologist or a psychiatrist or a shrink, as
they pay actually a lot of money. And first we are like, hey, these guys are crazy.
They are wasting money.
Or just that. But it looks like it's actually disease to some people. Because it can actually drive you to death.
Absolutely.
They can drive you to death. So at least I have friends who have been affected by mental health issues, and they need a psychologist. Me, I didn't even know.
But you know, there are also very few.
There are very few. But actually, abroad there are very many of them.
Of course.
But here maybe there are very few. But abroad, actually, there are very many of them, and people put that in their budget. So
that's so interesting. So there's like around where I stay, like the neighborhood. So there's this girl who committed suicide actually. I think a couple of months back. So like I mean, she was at campus and like she started like changing in a way. You know, like she wanted to be alone and everything. Like, you know, she wanted always to close herself in a room. And, you know, but I think the parents didn't actually realize
they didn't know
something was going on. So they woke up in the morning and then she had hung herself like there's a tree like just around like when you're sloping down. Cool, then you're sloping. Yeah, just nearby.
Wow.
So, but I think she was going through something, but probably she didn't have anyone to talk to. Even parents, you know, like sometimes parents, you know, like you can't even realize, okay, there's something, like there's some change, like I mean, going on with my, you know, my daughter's son. So, like, I think also parents actually need to be, you know,
more
mindful about, you know, like how, you know, the behavior. Okay, if my daughter is changing, like, you know, my son is changing that way. So I think you need to find out what's the problem. So this girl, you know, like they just woke up in the morning and, you know, she had hung herself and everyone, and she was at the university, you know, almost like, you know, graduating almost. So that's so funny. So I mean, I think she was going through some hard time and she didn't have anyone to talk to. So she thought probably that's the right decision.
Buy is quite high for the young generation today. I actually had a forum where someone was telling us parents, please don't compete through your children.
Oh yeah. Parents competing through the children.
You know what that means? So and so son is doing this, what are you doing? You know, they did that. And so I'm also looking forward to this competition. At times it's kind of subtle, but it's there. It's there and it creates pressure.
I know.
You know, when you're growing up, your parents, you know, you got 4 in P7. And they're like, but each parent got 4. How come?
Stop questioning. Wow.
They have their issues as well.
The idea that I think there are so many things about there is gender perspectives when it comes to mental health, because women and men experience different things.
Okay.
So for men, it's this idea that you have to be strong. I
know.
You know,
There's that moment you break down.
you cannot show any sign of weakness and that, and that's a challenge. And then for women, we also have a lot of challenges culturally, you know.
Expectations.
Yeah, cultural issues, you know. And one that I like to give an example of is if a woman is expecting a child and that child dies before being born or at birth, that miscarriage, you lose that baby. Traditionally, at least in Buganda, they will take that baby and bury that child without you, and you're not allowed to go there, you're not allowed to see the grave. It is a hush, quick.
What?
Bury this child, and it will never be talked about again. Like it didn't happen.
Oh my God.
So it's almost like the more we silence it, the more it didn't happen. Yeah. But now in this modern technology, modern life of today, you've carried that child, let's say for 6 months or 7 months, you've been seeing that child on the scan. You practically have even pictures of that child. You know it's a boy or a girl. You feel the baby. You talk to the baby. You have a communication with this child for all these months, 8 months, even 9 months. You know, the ones who are stillborn, all of those. And they take the child, hush, hush, quick, quick.
And
then you're not supposed to go there because they feel it's like it will cause you more problems. If
mentally
no, they believe that if you go to the grave and mourn that child, you're going to lose other babies.
Oh, I see. So it's
So
like
of
a
course,
cultural thing.
yeah, it's a myth and a misconception or whatever,
I see.
And then they tell you, hey, tochogera ko. Kakati, now you can imagine. Now you're dealing with a situation
I see.
for months and years afterwards where you never talk about that child. That child never happened. That child didn't. But it was real for you. And then you don't get any counseling, no support, no nothing. So there is a lot of things that we do that are accepted. And you're like, why are we still doing that? You know what I'm saying?
Nobody has stopped to question why.
Why are we still doing that? So yeah, so there's a lot of things.
I see. I remembered something as well. We were driving with him at night, and I saw someone who was naked, like how do they call
Homoses.
So I kept quiet. I didn't tell him because culturally I heard people saying, when you see him, you don't tell.
Hey, you don't tell the other person.
So I was like, let me keep quiet. I will tell him until we have reached. So I told him, did you see Omusezi? So I thought he had seen, and also he had in mind that
You'll be quiet.
be quiet. So he told me, no, I didn't see anything. So I was like, hey, I kept quiet, thinking that you have also seen. So it was something that it was in my mind. Hey, Bagam, but when you do this, when you see, you get a
I didn't know
that's what they used to tell.
That's what we used to say.
So when you say I'm a dancer, just keep quiet. Once you say it, like you just look me up.
I don't know how wrong that is.
So I thought this guy
maybe later, but not like right there. Like maybe later, like you can talk about it after sometime.
That's interesting.
We have so many myths.
Wow. Yes.
There are a lot. Actually. There's also this thing of you saw a light crossing.
The one that you can only see alone, like that shooting star.
So someone told me, if you see that, keep quiet. When you mention it, the miracle that is coming will disappear. So every time I see it, I'm like, wait, have you seen that? What's that? So sometimes the next time I saw it, I was like, let me keep quiet. I see what will happen in the next 3 days or something like that. So, but it's all about people putting it in their mind. And
the mind.
So if you believe in it, you will go with that. If you don't, then yeah.